Hello, Royal Oak families. Hopefully, Royal Oak Middle School students also, maybe tuning in. Welcome to Coffee with the Principal. This Coffee with the Principal is focused in on reopening Royal Oak Middle School. Um, we have been just recently given the marching orders to open Royal Oak Middle School this fall in a virtual learning environment. So I put this Coffee with the Principal together to see if we could have a little bit of a dialogue with parents, with students, with teachers, and push it out to the community to see what is this going to look like. Is it going to be different than the spring? Is it going to be the same as the spring? What is our fall virtual learning gonna start looking like? What's the classroom? What's the expectation for students and the teachers and the parents? And what's registration going to look like? What's the first day of school and the first weeks? What's the schedule? Um, what what um, what supports are we going to provide for our students with special needs? So we have our special ed specialist on the panel. EL students, our English learner students. Um, what about childcare? Is that going to be something that the district provides and makes it available for a fee out there? What about food services? Um, and communication, one of the other big topics. How are we going to communicate to everybody through virtual learning? So we handle a lot of dialogue in our conversation. It really is fantastic. So hopefully you could tune in. It is quite long, so it's about an hour and a half, but there are sections that you can go to. So Miss Larissa Morales has put this together. So thank you for doing that. And let me introduce our panel, and then we can march forward. So our teachers on the panel is Miss Kristen Scott, our education specialist. We have Miss Jennifer Gomez from the English department. We have Ann Stark representing their electives department. And we have Michelle McKay representing the math department. Our parents representatives, we have Miss Sarah Fiala, who is our PTSA president. We have Heather Vogel, parent, and we have John Espinoza as a parent on there. And our two student representatives, we have Michael Espinoza, eighth grade student, and we have Brooklyn Baylor on our panel as an eighth grade student. And our fantastic assistant principal, we have Mr. Alex Sinar. So thank you so much for the panel and the great dialogue that we um, kind of all participated in. We have so much that we talked about. So again, we are opening up with a virtual learning atmosphere, and I know that students, you you miss your friends, you miss your teachers, you love being on campus. So let's kind of get into the dialogue that takes place about what is virtual learning and what could it look like. So you'll dive right into that conversation that is taking place with the panel. Again, thank you for participating and thank you for tuning in to the Coffee with a Principal. Enjoy. The first question and kind of first topic is, what will virtual learning look like for Royal Oak Middle School? So we have determined as a district that we're going to start off the school year with virtual learning. Probably one of the other key questions is, how long are we going to be doing virtual learning? It's undetermined at this point how long it will last. There's a couple targets for us to allow students and teachers back on campus. And so we'll keep the whole community kind of informed as we move forward. But it's just the COVID and all the just people that are contacting the virus around our areas has to go down significantly for us to come back on campus. So it's an unknown. We'll take it kind of a week at a time, a month at a time, and we'll see. And we're hoping that we get back very soon, but it just really depends on the whole community. So what will virtual learning look like? We've had a couple teachers teach over the summertime, and I'd like for them to kind of give us a little bit of an idea of what it could look like. And we'll go through a couple of the content areas. So Miss McKay is here from the math department. She taught over the summertime. So she has some very good experience of what is successful in a virtual learning classroom environment. So Michelle, take it away, I think.
All right, thank you, Dr. Williams. So a few things that I found that helped improve and increase student success were, number one, the students needed to have regular set time that they were expected to be up and going to class. So students needed to have consistent, like, I know I had class that started at 8 a.m. for my high school students, and so we started at 8 and we worked, so that helped having a very set schedule. I noticed that the students that were most successful also had a set place to be working, whether it was at a table, whether it was in a bedroom, but not on their bed, the place where they sleep and relax, maybe at a desk, or on the floor in a corner. But they needed to have a place where they could go to and have a mind shift of, I'm at school now. This is my place. Parental support of parents recognizing that their student was at school and helping to make sure that they were awake and make sure that they had limited distractions as possible. So our virtual classroom would look like I would hold Zooms and I would do some lecture and provide as much information, knowing that once I got off, the students would have limited access to me. In my classroom, I would do some examples, and then I would be free for them to ask questions. Well, the moment I got off Zoom, my kids didn't have access anymore. So I wanted to make sure that I had all of that set up. Assignments were posted. I used Google Slides. So you might see assignments posted in Google Slides where kids would be filling in answers, or they might have fillable PDFs where they're being asked to type in answers to the best of their abilities as teachers work to try to find ways to transform things we would do in our classroom to a online virtual content, which is not always easy for the teacher. And sometimes we think, okay, this is going to work out really well, and then it just doesn't. So, as parents and students, be patient and understanding with your teachers as they are trying to figure out how to take this amazing, well thought out project that we could do together in a group format in our classroom and figure out how to transfer it digitally. A lot of, make sure that you've got your Chromebooks, charged, because you're going to be on that Chromebook for a lot of time, because you're going to be experiencing either live or recorded sessions from your teacher. And then you will also be having to complete online work because teachers won't have a way to give it to you. So you need to understand that you're going to be on with your teacher for maybe an hour to an hour and a half live session, and then have 30 minutes of work that you're going to have to do as well. So parents helping to make sure that you block out time to not only be live in that session, but complete an assignment or task that the teacher has worked on. You might have, Zoom has a feature that allows for breakout rooms to do smaller group functions. So you might still get some of those opportunities to work in a small group setting. And teachers are looking at and utilizing, one of the programs that I used during the summer was called Electives, which allowed me to have an online testing format, and it works for more than just math. It works for English and science. So you might see other accounts that you might need to create or using. The nice thing about Edgelastics is it connects to Google Classroom. And not every teacher might use Google Classroom, but it might be a platform where you can find the information about where you can then go. So I would have to send my students, I could actually post a live link to the test from Google Classroom and go in there. So as we come to testing time, again, parents help out of, okay, maybe my teacher says that you can take the test anytime during this specific day. You have till 7 p.m. at night. So making sure they've got a set block of time that they're able to do that, because we know that there are going to be a lot of distractions and there are things that happen, and you might have to get up, mom and dad have to take you and drop you off at somebody else's house. So to take your materials with you and understand that with it being online, teachers are going to be understanding, but there are still some firm deadlines that we do need to respect so that we are all kind of going at the same pace.
So Ms. McKay,
Yes.
we're looking at, right now it's still being negotiated, but we're looking at on
Correct.
Mondays, the classes will probably be about 30 minutes. And then on Tuesday, we'll have period 1, 2, 3 Wednesday 4, 5, 6, Thursday 1, 2, 3 again, and then Friday 4, 5, 6. So again, we're going to come up. They're still talking about the actual schedule, but that's what it kind of looks like.
Yeah.
So if the classes on Monday are say 30 minutes, we'll have all the classes on Monday, and then on the block schedule day, so it's somewhere between an hour and a half class. What would that class kind of look like for a student to kind of experience?
It's going to depend on the teacher and the subject. I know within the math department, in order to be able to teach everything we need to teach, I know that we're going to be looking at probably trying to teach 2 lessons in that class period and then have 2 assignments. And maybe instead of looking at as much as we might have done a more hands-on discovery approach, maybe a more direct instruction approach, because 75 minutes breaks down into roughly, 40, a little less than 40 minutes per lesson, which is less time than we normally would have in a classroom. So, it's going to depend, but you should expect to see 2 lessons per class period, or maybe your review lesson mixed in with your test. It all depends on the teacher, but I know that there's going to be some that do have that flexibility, but it's not going to be optional. It's going to be, we need to be there, be logged in, and be ready to go from the start of that hour to the end of that hour. And then there will probably be some additional work to go as well, as teachers are trying to make sure here's some direct instruction, here are some examples on how to do it, at least for the math department. And then I'm going to still give you maybe somewhere between 5 and 8 problems I want you to go try on your own afterwards. And you would have until the next day or the next time we meet before they're due, but using those materials and resources and, accessing what is available to you online. And those problems might show up in some sort of again, fillable PDF or a Google Sheets or a Google Doc where you could insert answers or insert a picture of your answer, depending on the type of problem you were looking at completing.
So the district is providing document cameras too. How do you see those being used in math? Is it possible to kind of watch you do some of the work, so that'll help the students with modeling?
Yeah, during the summer, I actually used my document camera a lot, and I would record my lessons through my document camera so they could watch me work out by hand the problems that we had to do. I would provide notes. I prefer handwritten notes over PowerPoints, so I could add in anecdotal notes and repoint to things for math. Some of my colleagues have made really good PowerPoints. I just haven't invested the time into being able to build them for all of my lessons. So students would see a lot of hand worked out examples in that direct instruction time, where we do more of a step-by-step approach to specific types of problems. And those document cameras where kids can watch us work out those problems by hand, so that they can use that as a tool and a resource when they have to go work independently.
Terrific. Let's go to Miss Gomez, and then we'll have the students after you hear the math and the English. Then we'll have the students and the parents kind of ask questions to the math and English teachers. So Miss Gomez, what's your thoughts?
So Ms. McKay provided a lot of information on regards to like Google Classroom and the fillable documents that we're all looking to kind of create. So I think one of the greatest things that we can remember is what our superintendent has said, to remember to provide grace for everybody. Teachers are working hard, students are looking at this in a completely new light. So with a lot of patience, we're going to get there. In terms of what we're looking at in a classroom setting for English, we're kind of taking that same pacing guide that we already had before this and just manipulating it a little bit to make it a little bit more comfortable. So in any one given class period, you could be looking at a quick spelling or vocabulary lesson along with a short story. The next day of like Tuesday, Thursday, or Wednesday, Friday, you're going to be looking at now really dissecting that, looking at plot elements, things like that. So first day is a lot of reading comprehension, and then the next day is going to be a lot more of strategy. What are we going to do now with what it is that we've read? So we're kind of really trying to balance that out. In regards to Mondays, as of right now, because they are a very condensed day, we're kind of looking to see if we can use that as a mini assessment day. So what can you do over the weekend to continue to build your growth towards our spelling and vocab? So a quick spelling and vocab test on Mondays. It's nothing to get stressed about, but it's just so that we're not trying to overfill the minds of our students with a 30-minute lesson. So kind of just continuing to build and develop off of stuff that we've done before. With our document cameras at the very beginning, we are going to be going through simple strategies on how to take Cornell notes, focus notes, things like that. So our kids should be able to see us doing that and guiding them how to read and take notes on what we're doing, or how to take notes on our vocabulary lessons, just how to take notes with lectures in general, because that's something that they're really going to need to build upon this year especially. So that's kind of how we're going to incorporate some of the wonderful resources that our district has provided for us.
That's fantastic. Okay, so students or parents, you've heard a little bit of the math and English. So what questions do you have?
I have a quick question. Ms. McKay had mentioned document cameras. So the district is gonna provide each student with a document camera. Is that correct?
The teachers are being provided with document cameras. So yeah, so what it would allow us to do is to, basically think about your regular video camera, but instead it's pointed down so that it will record what we're writing. I utilize during the school year my document camera, so both Michael and Brooklyn are very familiar with, how it works. But it will allow us to write something on a piece of paper regular, like I'm just having it down, as opposed to having to write it and then hold it up for students to see. It makes it easier. It allows you to zoom in so that the students can see a bigger presentation of what it would be, as opposed to me trying to put it in the camera, because the camera on here is pretty good, but it's limited in what it will allow students to see.
Okay, I had misunderstood earlier. And then also just checking, the district is going to be providing each student that is in need of a Chromebook or laptop. And if they're doing that, what about those students that do not have access to Wi-Fi? How is that going to be approached?
Great question, John. So what we're going to do at registration, all students will be checked out a Chromebook. And so we'll go through the process at registration time. We'll talk about those times later on. But each student will have a Chromebook checked out to them. They'll have their textbooks and Chromebook checked out. There's a survey that's going out for those who do not have access. They need to contact me in that if they absolutely do not and cannot get access. If it's spotty and going in and out, that's going to be your provider. And so make sure that you have good contact with your provider, that you're up to date with some of the modem and things like that. So the internet needs to be working. But if they absolutely do not have that, please contact Dr. Williams.
I'll leave room for someone else who wants to jump in.
Yeah, any other parents or Brooklyn, any thoughts? Ms. Vogel?
Yeah, so with the condensed schedule and then the block schedule, when can children get further help? So they've gone through their classes and they're still not getting it. And those of us parents haven't touched math probably since we were in high school or 8th grade. How do we get our children the support so that way they don't fall behind, or that way they learn something that we don't know?
Great question. Jennifer or Michelle, you want to answer that? Have you seen the schedule?
I have seen the schedule, and unfortunately, because it's still in negotiations, there's not a set answer, but they are looking at having the ability to, I don't remember what time it is, but there's a chunk of time after lunch where students would be able to answer. And again, it would be up to the individual teacher. I might, and I have done during summer school when I knew it was a particularly challenging session, I had a 1 hour on, 1 hour off policy. We had to be live with our classes for 3 hours. And so sometimes I finished my live 1 hour, and for anyone that wanted, I said, okay, you can stay with me for the next hour. We don't have that luxury. That's not part of the negotiated schedule at this moment, but I might set up an office hour. And the math department particularly, every teacher in the math department teaches 2 different subjects. So we we might split it up and say, okay, today anyone that needs help with the advanced section might see this teacher. Anyone help in the non-advanced section would see this teacher. That could be something that's potential, but again, I can't speak for the other teachers, but that is an option after lunch to, again, it would require students to reach out more and say, hey, I need help, and teachers can help them that way, because we don't have a set negotiated time yet, but that's after lunch would be when that would happen.
Good.
It would be helpful.
Ms. Gomez, any thoughts on that you've been thinking?
Pretty much the same. So given that we have a more condensed schedule on Monday as well, depending on what the district sets out for us and the school sets out for us, if we have PDs or anything like that, the idea is that every teacher will have at least an hour or so each day, each school day, to provide office hours. So the way I think about it is the same as a college university, where kids can log on and actually talk with their teachers and really get that one-on-one feedback or small group feedback or whatever it is that they need. But same as Ms. McKay is saying, we really need to make sure that our students are advocating for themselves and really reaching out. That is going to be the best and most essential skill that they build this year.
I'm also on that intervention kind of supports. I'm also thinking of putting a little bit of our after school program together. And that would be, again, that would be a virtual. And so Ms. McKay ran one, Ms. Scott ran one. I think Ms. Gomez had one going. I had a couple other teachers that were supporting students after school. And so we're looking at trying to keep that up too, so we can kind of extend a little bit of the school hour for extra supports. Michael and Brooklyn, any thoughts from you guys?
It's helpful to do that.
Good. What about the classes? What are you thinking on the classes?
That's good.
I think it's just gonna be much harder for kids to get what they would usually get in, without online learning, because we're gonna have shorter hours and shorter class periods. So having the after school and just more contact one-to-one with the teachers and the students would probably benefit a lot of kids.
Maybe have study groups.
That would work too. Study groups would be good.
So Brooklyn, talk to us about just the class itself. Is it really, really difficult for students to really be engaged with the material, to really work independently? I know that this is so different and we have really no other option at this point, but how can we make this as doable and kind of productive for all students? Kind of think of your student body as a whole.
Yeah. I don't because for me personally, this just being at school is more engaging than being at home, because there's so many distractions. So just kind of putting yourself in an area where there's really no distractions is probably the best thing to do.
Great. Yeah, it's so difficult to not have that teacher contact and your student peer contact. It's just so tricky. So hopefully we're building out kind of a schedule where you can connect with your teacher a couple times a week, 3-4 times a week. Now you're going to need to engage every single day with the material. Okay, any other thoughts from anybody else? Ms. Vogel.
One more. Will we be using Remind still, so that way we can help our students keep on top of the assignments? Work with the teachers, just so we're making sure, like normal, that our child is performing as they should.
Great question. Let's go into communication. What do you, teachers? Any of your thoughts on communication? What you're going to be doing with your parents and students? Go ahead, Ann. Oh, you're on mute. If you can read lips.
Sorry about that. I think that communication in this format of learning is going to be all the more important. And so I'm pretty confident that the majority of teachers will do the Remind and be in email contact, be available with office hours. So communication, I think, is one of the keys that's going to be contributing to the success of this method of learning. So I think you can anticipate communication in multiple modes from teachers this semester.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Sarah.
Are all teachers going to be using Classroom, or are they given the option to use a different format? Because speaking from a parent perspective, it would be very helpful for my student to have all of their classes listed on Google Classroom so that they can have a dashboard that they go into every day and everything is listed there. So will there be options for teachers, or is everybody required to do one format?
Everybody, the core, you'll find the core teachers really do a lot of the Google Classroom. So you'll see the history, you'll see the math, you'll see the English, you'll see this science using the Google Classroom. Electives are going to be hit and miss, and then the PE will be hit and miss. But we really want the students to be able to have that one-stop shop and go into Google Classroom. They see their period 1, period 2, period 3, period 4, and be able to kind of look at that. All the teachers were trained at the end of the year last year on Google Classroom. So that is something that will help the students be able to organize their information. I find that Royal Oak, I'm guessing, but I'm going to say about 80–90% of the teachers use Remind as a main communication. So that will probably be that still main communication. So it'd be Remind, it'd be the student email, and then the Google Classroom would be a lot of the information. And then they'll shoot out information to the parent email also. So you really have to stay tuned every single day and kind of check in for students. And the other thing that we're gonna try to start is the student portal, so that Michael and Brooklyn and the rest of the student body will start up their student account in Aries, and so that you can actually see your grades in real time. So you don't have to go through your parents' email account. You have your own email account. It's already established in there. You just have to go in and establish the passcode that's in there. So your Gmail account gives you it's called an Aries student portal. And then you can see that the assignments that are in there, teachers will post their grades. You'll be able to see that. So then you can kind of stay on top of your grades. Sarah.
It's talking about communication. What is the best way to reach teachers or to let them know if we're having a connectivity issue at home? Either something is going on with our bandwidth or Wi-Fi, our computer isn't working, and our student is there ready to attend school. They're just having a problem logging on. What is the best way to let the teachers know that we're having this issue?
Great question. Any teachers want to handle that? What do you think?
Well, for me this summer, I had students and myself, we had lots of tech issues. And the best way, we didn't have access to parents during summer school at the beginning. So the best way is for students or parents to email the teacher right away if they have a Remind account already connected. Immediately send a Remind text saying, we are trying, the Wi-Fi died, one kid's power went out. Just so that we know that they're not intentionally missing class because they slept in, which happened, but that they are trying, and as soon as they can, they're going to get on and access the material.
Great. Any other thoughts from teachers?
I think she covered it.
Good. Nice. Yeah, I think that's the best way to really keep that dialogue going. Definitely reach out to your teachers at any time. Okay, any other questions on the virtual learning? I know that we don't have it all figured out, but at least we got a little bit of a picture for everybody. Any other thoughts that you want to add before we move on to another topic? Ms. Vogel.
One more. What if our student is absent due to like a doctor, if they got to go to the doctor or they are feeling ill? Do we contact the school like normal? Should we also reach out to the teachers so that way they're not expecting them on Zoom because they're ill or they've got an appointment? How do we go about doing that? Status quo or anything new?
I would definitely do both. You can notify the school, but notify the teacher, because they're going to have a lot of the emails and communication. Attendance will be taken every day, and so they need to be able to get checked in to the class every day. So like we said, they're going to probably meet with all their classes on Monday, and then 1, 2, 3 on Tuesday, 4, 5, 6 on Wednesday, and then repeat it on Thursday, Friday. So they will need to be checked in every single day with their classes, and we're going to take attendance in Aries. And you'll probably, if the student is not checked in, the teacher does mark them absent, you'll get a robocall or a personal call from our attendance office indicating that the student was not in class. And then if they get 3 in a row, then we get take it to another level, and we have to really kind of call the parents in and kind of figure out what's going on and check in with the students. So we're going to be kind of following that pretty closely. Alex, you want to add anything on that, on attendance?
Yeah, it was a great question, Heather. I'm Alex Nari, assistant principal. Just if you know ahead of time, like medical appointment or dentist appointment or something, where just as usual, try and email the teachers. You can email us as well here, like Dr. Williams or I, but just emailing, that's going to be really critical, because everything's going to be with emails and online. So for those things, and then just reaching out. The teachers know that, I mean, just from March to the end of May, the connectivity issues. So it's not going to be like, oh no, this never happened. So, but just having that, you know, whether it is an email or remind, but just messaging and saying, hey, we can't be there for that. Attendance wise, that's still going to be kind of in my wheelhouse, and I'll work with the attendance clerk. So there'll be a couple of avenues in terms of like either emailing or messaging the attendance clerk or myself, but major like if we're seeing a string of a student not visiting the class for X amount of visits through, 6 classes, then definitely that's going to be something we're going to monitor and look at. But yeah, same as usual, but we're going to rely heavily on emails and say remind to get that communication.
So teachers, let me ask you a question on when you set up your remind, do you allow students to, let's say, the connectivity kind of goes down and they're out of it, they just can't connect? Is it the best way for the student to let you know, hey, I'm here, I'm active, but I just can't connect? Can they do that through remind? Is that, everybody set that up that way?
It comes through as a text message on our cell phones.
Okay. So they might not check it during class, but maybe afterwards, and you can go back to Aries and kind of clear that absence out.
So Michael, just a clarification. So even if they're not attending class live, but they were doing work for our class during that time, we would mark them present?
You mark them present, but there must be some sort of issue why they couldn't get online. We really want, that's kind of another student expectation, and I'll put that up right after we get through a little bit of the questions here, is we do want the student to show themselves engaged in the class. And so if they're doing a live session, the teacher wants to see the student on camera. So they want to be in that Zoom. They need to be kind of eyes looking forward. So good student posture, nodding, the body language, that you're really engaged with the material. So yes, they do need to be online. So Ms. McKay, if it depends on your class, but if they're not on that connectivity and they're not in that Zoom, they will be marked absent unless you hear that they have some sort of connective issue. Okay, let's go through, let me share my screen and we could talk through some of the expectations. I think it's good to kind of see what we're looking at. I had a group of teachers. Sarah was on this operational committee. We had classified on the committee, admin on the committee. We talked about what could virtual learning look like. Let me blow it up a little bit. Sorry, it's a little bit small for you. So I know we've talked a little bit about this information, but I did want to get this on the Zoom call. So number one is for student expectations, we want them to sign the technology use agreement and the Chromebook for digital citizenship. Again, we talked about engaging daily with the lessons and classwork. Students should be visible during virtual learning. This is to show the teachers can make sure students are engaged during the lesson. All work assignments are to be completed by the student. So we do ask for parental and sibling and peer support. So yes, that's there, but kind of balance that out. We want the student ability to be able to show through in the classes. Assessments must be independently completed by the student. Assignments not fully completed or not answered completely will be graded accordingly. Plagiarism. Since we're going all online, students, you have to be careful with this one. So plagiarism and the honor system. We have a new online program. It's called turnitin.com, and the English teachers are going to be using that quite a bit, and any other teachers for any essay that's going to be turned in. It can go right through turnitin.com, and that does a plagiarism kind of view of it, and it also checks other students within the school if they turned in a paper that's very similar. So it does that analogy. It has artificial intelligence to do that, and it kind of does a red flag to the teacher. So it's real important that they learn these things. High school gets a little bit more stringent, and then in college, if you plagiarize in college, you can get kicked out of college. So it's something to learn right away, early on. For example, some of the examples of that is posting photos of someone else's work, copying someone else's slides, taking a Snapchat of the assignment and sending it to others, taking a screenshot of someone else's work. So these are easily done using the digital works, but we really want to be careful with that. Norms and citizenship are applied during meeting times. So kind of take it as looking at it as a professional atmosphere. This includes in-person and virtual learning. Students should use their original name. So we're going to ask all students to use original name, no nicknames. You can be students are very creative, sometimes in not so good sense. And so no created names. We're going to use the actual name of that. No avatars, so the actual person. So if there's inappropriate behavior or names, progressive discipline will apply. So the parents and students will meet with the assistant principal or with me, and we'll take the next step. So we want to make sure that everybody is monitoring their digital work. Students always need to use student email account, so not personal emails. So we'll be using the student email for all the communication. So email standards, so make sure to put your name and class period and what the email is about in the subject. That's probably the best type of protocol, that you need name and class period, and then what the email is about in the subject, and then you have the body. Chromebooks should be charged every night and near a charger during virtual learning times. Leaving class during class because the battery died is not an excused absence. And so we want to make sure that everybody is prepared during those class times. So make sure they're charged at night. If a student uses virtual learning and social media inappropriately, again, progressive discipline will apply. Students will need working knowledge of Google Classroom. We talked a little bit about that. So there's the communication pieces: Google Classroom, email, Remind, and student portal accounts be the main communication. Turn in work completed on time. So all work and assignments are to be completed by the student and turned in by the deadline. So grades will roll as normal. Be able to take iReady. We're going to try to take iReady assessment right out the gate. So the English teachers are going to hit that possibly on week 2. You saw the email from Dr. Jordan this morning. That's possibly that they're looking at a August 14th start. So maybe on a Friday at this point. That's still in negotiation. So I'll keep you informed on that. And then what day we actually start school, and what day we start with the iReady process. And then students are required to independently read 30 minutes every single day. So that's still in our we're not going to be able to do the 3 million minute challenge, or maybe we can as we roll. But 30 minutes a day is what we're asking. And then we talked a little bit about the parent expectations. So provide students with online access at home. Michelle talked about that. Ms. McKay talked to, she found that is the best if the student can have the access at home, and setting up a place in the home for the student to engage in instruction during meeting times and engage with independent work. Preferably a place, some of the things that we've learned a little bit is where the student can be monitored. So maybe a kitchen table somewhere in a hard surface, almost looks like an office space for them. Make sure that each student has access to headphones with mics if they need to be doing some work that you don't want to overhear in other parts of the house. So they can use the headphones. Headphones do not need to be expensive, just be available for the students during virtual learning. So parents, we want to make sure that parents are checking emails and student emails accounts too, and remind daily. All work and assessments, we talked about the student, we want the student work to be there, plagiarism, norms in there. During office hours, students are expected to be in class, so please respect the class time. Any special circumstances or arrangements, doctor's appointments and things, if you can make those after class times, we are really limited on the amount of class time. So parents, if you could honor the class times that are scheduled. And if the student, again, uses virtual learning, social media inappropriately, progressive discipline will apply. And then we talked about Google Classroom, Remind, iReady, and then students are required to read independently every day. Okay, so let me pop back here. If I go to my Zoom. Okay. Stop sharing. Okay, thoughts on that? That was a lot of information, but thoughts on some of those expectations. Brooklyn, shaking your head. You don't like it, or you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
All right, good. Michael, what do you think?
I think those are all really good expectations. The only thing I see is that it's very easy. Say, because I'm on a computer right now. Say because I could just open up another tab and go to YouTube or, Snapchat or whatever, and look at something else. So, do you have any plans to make sure that it's only on one singular website, say Google Docs or Zoom? Is there anything in place to keep you there, not let you go to YouTube or Snap or Instagram?
Yeah, that's a great question. What's your thoughts, teachers?
I mean, I think it's always part of the challenge of keeping your students engaged. So for us as teachers, it just puts a little extra level of pressure to have really engaging lessons to try to keep our students with us, and to encourage them to, to participate as much as possible. Just because we're in a virtual setting doesn't mean that we can't, have students answer questions, or call on students to give their opinions. So it happens sometimes in our regular classroom as well. Kids will daydream or, maybe pull out a book. You just have to try to make sure to keep checking on them and pulling them in. And it's part of the challenges of teaching. So we get it, and we work really hard to prevent it. So
true.
Anybody have anything else? What do you guys think?
Kristen, you taught summer school, so what were some of the challenges that you had?
Pretty much some of the same challenges that Miss McKay mentioned. I did find my students who allowed themselves to be on camera and were far more engaged. I was far more able to respond to them because as a teacher, And, as a parent, as even you students will know, when you're dealing with your friends, you rely a lot on your visual cues as well. You're reading your facial expressions. So I can tell by looking at you if you understand what I'm saying. So if I'm looking at just your name on a screen, it makes it really difficult for me to know whether I need to back up a minute, restate something I just explained. And it is, as Ms. Stark said, absolutely imperative that you present something that is engaging and involves students, their input, to keep everybody with you in the lesson. The other thing we've already mentioned too, it was so much better. Kids did so much better when they were not laying down on their beds, when they were, sitting up in a place that was at least a little bit more resembling a workspace. Kids who had, were laying down on their bed, that's where I saw lots of distraction for them. So when we got them to move to a different area, their success rate just went sky high when they were much more prepared and in a spot that looked like work.
We actually had mentioned during our wrap-up summer school meeting, for someone even pointed out, like, if your kid is a gamer and they like to play games, whether it's a video game system or they play on their computer, to either use a different computer, use the school Chromebook, and to be a different place and not be in their gaming place, so that they're not in gaming mode, they're in school mode. So Mrs. Scott hit it on the head. Like, those kids, if they're in school mode, they'll be more successful.
Super.
The mindset makes a huge difference.
Brooklyn, I see that you have kind of a blank screen behind you. So is that something that you did on purpose, where you have a wall so that you feel comfortable with that as your background?
Yeah. You have to speak louder.
Super. Michael, and you have the ability to kind of get yourself a nice little green screen. Do the Chromebooks also have that capacity?
I'm not aware. I know that because I used to do my Zoom calls on a phone. You can't do it on a phone. I think so. I think they might be able to do a green screen on, or it doesn't have to be a green screen. It can be any flat plain surface. But I think it would work on a Chromebook.
Would you recommend that for your peers to have something like either a blank screen behind or some sort of cardboard or a sheet that they put behind? Is that what you would recommend?
Yeah, any blank. It could be red, white, or yellow, as long as it's flat and it's like a straight color. Like, it's only green. There's no patterns or anything. It would work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Terrific. Teachers, do you know if the Chromebook does that they could do some sort of the picture background, or do we not know yet?
It depends on if the application is going to be installed and it's not just a web-based service. So if the application is installed on all of the Chromebooks prior to distribution, then they should be able to do it. If it's just they are clicking on our link and it's taking them just to a new tab, then they won't be able to.
Gotcha.
I'm on a school Chromebook right now, and I clicked on the link, so it opened up a new tab, and I do not have the ability to do a virtual background. This happens to just be up in my bedroom. So
okay.
Lucky you.
And it looks like it may be a sheet or just a.
Yes, sir. It is a sheet connected to my entertainment system.
I think that's great. I think that would be kind of a good recommendation for students to have as just a flat background. A good sheet works perfectly. I just have a wall behind me. Oh. Sorry about that. Okay, any other thoughts? Okay, let's talk about, we hit a lot of the big ideas. Let's talk about maybe a little bit of the specialty classes. So electives, let's go into what do you think the electives would look like, Anne?
The electives are a little bit of a particular challenge just because so many of our elective classes are hands-on collaboration, working with your classmates, either on a project or to produce, some type of a production or some type of an end project. So we definitely have been working hard to transition the essence of our classes into the virtual setting. So I did contact all of my elective department colleagues and kind of got a feel for what they're doing. And Mrs. Portnoy is still planning on doing a holiday winter concert where they'll prep for that virtually. And then she'll put all of those voices together to do an online program to present out to the community. Drama is gearing up for a February play, and they'll run it, where they'll have auditions and they'll have rehearsals and everything else. It will just be virtual. Hoping that when we come back, they'll have the opportunity to socially distance and still have a play in person. Otherwise, it will also be presented online. Project Lead the Way will be distributing Chromebooks and materials, and will be trying their best to have the students participate in the close to regular Project Lead the Way curriculum with a few modifications to make up for the virtual aspect of it. Technology is all on board with this. Miss Morellis is, got her curriculum lined up to be able to present pretty much the same things. She's funny. She said Runner TV will still be up and running. A pandemic will not hold us back. So she's excited about, having the opportunity to show off the importance of technology and all the fabulous things like coding and everything else that she does. So band, Mr. Lopez has a lot of questions as far as how students are going to decide what instrument to use and how they're going to get their instruments. So he's still working through some of those details. I think he's working with you to get some of those answers on instrument distribution and that kind of thing. So he's still kind of working out some of the details. For me, for basic living, I'm going to be focusing on different life skills than some of the ones I teach at the campus location at Royal Oak. I'm going to be doing a lot of common sense life skills. I will be still doing some cooking demonstrations, hoping that the students will have an opportunity to help out their family and prepare some things at home for them based on the demonstrations. We'll still spend a lot of time learning about nutrition. There are a lot of resources on the internet, so we'll do some video links, and there's endless number of possibilities under the realm of basic living life skills that I'm excited to explore with my students. With the AVID classes, we're still hoping to do virtual tutorials with college students. We're waiting on clarification for that, but we will still be here to support our students to ensure their academic success and teach them new skills that will help them through the virtual setting. So we have support from the AVID Center, so we're looking forward to that. And then our leadership, our ASB students, our goal will, as always, to make sure that our students on campus feel the spirit of Royal Oak, and that we can keep morale up and still have fun while learning. We want to make sure that our presence is felt, and we'll still have our weekly meetings, and we'll work to improve our leadership skills through additional lessons on goal setting and public speaking skills, and learn from some of our great leaders. So there's a lot of things in leadership too that will be new, but very valuable for our students to learn.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Nice
we got
summary.
all kinds of
Good
things
job.
going on.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how we roll.
That's right.
Good. Ms. Gomez, well, let me ask, any questions that you have on electives? Anybody, students or parents? All sounds good. teachers are really, really excited about it. So we're trying to make the best of it, but we're going to make it great. Okay, so how about the EL students? What are you thinking, Miss Gomez?
All right, so
Those
for our
English learners.
ELs, yes, I have a few different hats I have to look at this at. So I have my advisor hat and I have my teacher hat because I will be teaching our ELs in both our ELD class and our Avid Excel class. So one of the first things that we're going to need to talk about, myself and administrators, is that we are giving the permission to test any of our students from last year as a summative LPAC at the beginning of this school year, given that we do it all by October 30th, in case we have any students who are up for reclassification. So if we can do that, we can really make sure that first and foremost, our EL students are where they need to be to get the right and proper support that they need. Looking at the way that I can support our ELs as an advisor, I'm really looking to open up that communication with the rest of my English department to make sure that each student is receiving the right amount of supports that we can carry on into any other content from that area. So as long as we continue to maintain communication for our guidelines for each of our ELs, that's going to be something that takes them till as long as we need to continue with this virtual distance learning. In the classroom, as their ELD teacher, I'm really looking to support that academic language because that is something that's going to really be important right now. So as we're sitting here and we're listening to each other speak, a lot of this could go over some of our students' heads because so much is happening. We have more distractions. We're looking at everybody's faces as opposed to being in our own zone in the classroom. So if I can give them cues on how to pick up on particular academic language, as well as give them the study skills to take those notes, that's going to be support for them to bring back into my classroom. So I can kind of help them build not just in their English language development, but really on their cross-curricular development. So if we maintain all of that, I mean, this is a group of students where we need the community to come together. So if I'm working with our wonderful EL assistant, Mrs. Figueroa, along with our administrators and the rest of the teachers, I feel like our ELs are going to be in a good place and as good as we can be considering our circumstances.
Fantastic. Any other thoughts on that from anybody?
Dr. Williams,
yeah.
I left out art when I was talking about electives, and Ms. Shaw's been working very hard, so I don't want to not talk about that, if that's okay. So I did speak with her as well. She's purchased a camera to do some actual virtual art lessons that she'll do along with the students. She's got some concerns about art supplies. And would like to offer some of her supplies for any student that may need them. So she's kind of working on that. Great. And then as the year progresses, her thoughts are turning to yearbook. Will we be able to have a yearbook this year? You know, with no sports and no dances, and are we having school pictures? So those are some of the unknowns. You know, it will be a very short yearbook.
No, we're going to have like 50 pages of Zoom. Screenshots of Zoom.
Yeah, so all of our minds are going a mile a minute, and we're losing sleep over this, trying to come up with the best solutions. And I think that the bottom line is, as elective teachers, we have such a passion for what we teach, and we all want to make sure that, you know, we're able to share that passion with our students and get them excited about you know, what we're teaching them. So it's definitely going to be a challenge for all of us, but we're definitely up for the challenge. So
I like that word that Dr. Jordan used, grace.
Yeah.
Grace to all of us.
Yeah.
Did Miss Hook, did she give you any feedback on the robotics? I'm excited about that.
She said that they'll be picking up their Chromebooks, and the materials are loaded onto the Chromebooks for the Project Lead the Way.
Okay.
And so, yes, she's
Did
still
you mention
working on
that?
that.
Did I miss that one?
I thought I started with her.
Oh, perfect.
But I don't know, honestly.
Maybe I was looking at notes. Good. Terrific. Okay, Ms. Scott, what are you thinking on our IEPs and supporting our special needs students?
Well, the department is certainly looking forward to supporting all of our students with needs. And we're looking at a variety of ways to do that right now. It's going to depend a lot on the individual teacher and how they've structured their instruction. Some of the things that we've discussed right now is perhaps be a presence within the Zoom meetings and perhaps monitor questions as they come up through the comment section and maybe address those. We might be able to take a group of students into a breakout session to look at students who maybe need a little redirection, certainly looking at utilizing our office hours to extend that learning and deepen the learning that happened in the classroom setting. In addition to making accommodations to written assignments and posting reference materials for our students to access. Obviously, at this point, IEP meetings will be held virtually, which we're actually getting fairly good at. We did a number of them in the spring,
Yep.
so we're
Yes,
actually
we did.
our skills are pretty honed in that area. We are still waiting on guidance in terms of students that require assessments. So we're still waiting from the top-down directive from that.
Mm-hmm. How about the use of your instructional assistants?
Oh, they are going to be critical this year in many of the same ways that I described, meeting the challenges just with the teachers. We're looking at them to be able to host breakout sessions, as well as making contact with individual students with questions and concerns about curriculum.
Great, great. Any other thoughts on that?
Not yet, but I'm sure we're a work in progress, as we all are.
Absolutely.
Just
We're
wait till
excited
the
to have
first
a
day of
new.
school.
Yeah. We're excited to have a new teammate for you two in the special ed department. So we have Mr. Thomas Haynes. We hired him over the summertime. He's new to ROMS, but not new to education. You're going to really, really enjoy him. So he'll be contacting the parents. We've been in a lot of communication. He's set his room up. And so he's with the Mod Severe students. He's going to be contacting parents, seeing if he can get a hold of the students. There'll be daily kind of check-ins. He uses in his previous district a very connected online system, which we still have access to, and so that'll really help. The students really enjoyed it last year, so he's looking forward to kind of incorporating that to his class this year. So we're excited to have Mr. Haynes, and look forward to having the parents and students get to know him, and teachers and staff. Okay, so that's a lot on our virtual learning. Let's go into a little bit of the side kind of thoughts, and then we'll wrap it up at the end here. I want to talk a little bit about registration. So I'd asked Mr. Sinar, but before you say something, Mr. Sinar, let me get my screen here, and I do have a picture, I believe. I did have my picture, but maybe not. Here we go. Registration times. So here's what we're looking at in registration. This is a flyer that Ms. Morales had put together for us. It's on our website. So I know the times are kind of, there's a lot to know on this flyer, but just see our website for the different times for registration. We're still kind of talking about the system of how it's actually going to work, but we're looking at definitely using social distance and masks. And then there might be, their district office is talking about a survey that's going to be going out. Actually, it's a healthy check that you have to do prior to coming on campus for all students and parents. We're asking for pretty much parents only, but sometimes the students have to help carry some of the books and things like that. But I'll let Mr. Sinar kind of talk a little bit about that.
All right, hey guys, so we're trying to make it as simple as possible, as safe as possible, and as paperless as possible. But obviously our registration is a little bit augmented due to more of the safety parameters. So first change is, instead of having 2 fun days of registration, we're rolling it out to 4. So for each grade level, 7th grade is is going to have 2 days, and 8th grade will have 2 days as well, where we want to do it in alpha order. So we're getting half of that grade level one day, the other half the next day, so on and so forth. So right away, that should reduce the numbers by 50%. It's going to be basically 3 stations. The first place that the parent and child, and what we're going to ask is that it's one parent with the student per station that comes together. And so again, we're going to try and keep it the least amount of people as possible. First station would be counseling. There we'll be checking for several things. One of the important things we're looking for is the TDAP, to see that they all 6th grade students should already have that. I know we have a great number of parents that already got that. And so we should have that for our records, but there are some that haven't. And then we'd refer them to our nursing staff to help clear that up. But that's the first station where we're looking for particularly any 8th graders that haven't returned books and have fees, and kind of looking at those general things. So that's the first stop. And then they're all going to go one way into the library. We're going to have signs and kind of, you see that in grocery stores now, kind of like, walk this way, please. And so we're going to kind of guide them to the library. There'll be a couple of things there. Most importantly, books and Chromebooks for student distribution. That's going to be really important as well. Those have to be checked out per student. So that's not anything we can do virtually, because we scan the actual books to make sure they go with the student. So that's important. And PTSA will be there also. Sarah, did you want to do a little plug for PTSA?
Yes, we are still, yes, we will still be active. This year, our executive board is still meeting monthly, and we need members. We need all of our parents to be involved this year. We're going to still collect memberships. It's $10. And we are doing it online. So we are going with Royal Oak's paperless system, and it's $10, but there is a $1 service fee on there because we're using this totem service that PTA has set up. Not ours, but the bigger corporation PTA, nonprofit PTA. So we're going to be using that system. So we'll have a QR code for parents to scan as they come through if they would like to join, and then they can go ahead and sign up and just pay online that way. We won't be doing any fundraisers this year, and we are still planning that if and when we come back, we would still like to help our students and our families with programming. So we, at least in this fall, we're planning on trying to be engaged as much as possible virtually. But hopefully, if and when we come back, we would still like to do some tangible stuff. So as you sign up for membership, there is a place to put a donation. So if you'd like to tack on $3, $5, $10 onto your donation, just to help with some of those costs when we come back, for us to do any kind of student programming, help out with 8th grade promotion, all of that kind of stuff, that is available to do it that way. So we need you. We just, and we'll try to, be in communication as much as possible, and to be the cheerleaders this year and the motivators, just to keep our parent population strong and just motivated, because I know it's going to be tough for everybody. So yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yes, let's all get involved in that. Any other thoughts on that, Heather or John?
No, other than just, join PTA. PTA needs your help. Students need it. At the end of the school year, we hope we get to do something important for our kids. So, we're going to need some help with it. Yeah,
big celebration. Okay, Alex, what else you got in that library?
Great. That's it. That's the biggest part. The books and then the Chromebooks are going to be really important because they're going to be issued there. And so that's really important for the registration process to have those things. And then they'll all exit one way into 901 or Miss Portnoy's room. That will be the last stop, and that's where they'll have their tentative schedule from the counselors. And then also, usually we'll get a number of students that that maybe want to request something else, we're going to make a Google form that they can go through at home, so that it's paperless. If there's a request or something that they want to see if they could change, and that'll be provided. And then the counselors will be in there just to kind of go through the schedule or see if they have any quick questions, and then out to the parking lot, and then you guys should be good to go.
The other thing we do have is the data confirmation area.
That's right. Yep, there's a data confirmation area. We'll redirect you for parents that for any reason wasn't able to do data confirmation, which is actually the first step. And we'll have assistance for those parents to help them do that in our computer lab, and then go through stations 1, 2, and 3.
So we'd like to have you do the data confirmation now. So you can definitely get online with that. That's on our website. Just go down, scroll down the website and click on data confirmation. You can do that now. So we need all the parents before any part of the registration process. Data confirmation must be done. You don't have to bring in any prints. You don't have to print out anything. We don't want any paper. We will have a list of those who completed the data confirmation. It's in the system. So we'll have a kind of a real-time list of who completed it. And so you just come right over and start the registration process. Makes it a much easier, much faster if data confirmation is completed.
That's it.
Right on.
Great.
Right on.
It's going to be awesome.
That. I do want to put a little caveat too. I know parents have emailed us already when we posted up the times. If absolutely you cannot make that 7th grade, the 2 days on the 7th grade, then we'll have a few spots available in the 8th grade. So please let us know if you need to come on the 8th grade day so we can kind of get some books ready for you. We do want to make this as convenient as possible for you guys, but there's been work schedules that you guys just can't get around. So no problem. Just let us know. Same thing for 7th grade to go to 8th grade, 8th grade to go to 7th grade. And there's a night one that we put on. I think it's the Tuesday night and Thursday night. If night is your only possibility to come on campus, and that's not your alpha, again, go ahead and show up on those nights. But you don't need to email us on that, but just try to do that. We're trying to just make 50% of our capacity, but if that works in your schedule, that works in your schedule. Anything else to add? Did I miss anything?
Dr. Williams and Alex, I do have a question. Our advanced math students have different textbooks. If they're not picking their schedule up until after they get their textbooks checked out, there's a strong possibility that they will not have the correct math book given to them. And normally we address this issue in our classes and send the kids during class to go fix it. That will not be a possibility. So either Gina's going to need to have a list of the roughly 140 kids that are going to be needing the different books, because the advanced 7th graders are going to need both the 7th and 8th grade textbook, and the math 1 students are going to need their math 1 books, and they don't necessarily know, they won't know that they're going to need another book until after they pick up their schedule.
Great catch. Maybe we can send it out early. Maybe we can put the kids that are in advanced math. Mr. Snar, you and I can talk about that. We can shoot that over to the parents prior to registration. That would probably be best.
Yeah, because they'll need both. The 7th graders will need both books right off the bat. So there's not a chance for them to come back. So every other subject, I believe, uses the same textbook. It's not a big deal, but we just need to make sure we get the correct math books in those kids' hands.
Great call. Gate, probably the same way, I would imagine, with some of the books and things. Okay. Good call. All right. Any other thoughts on that? Okay, let's a couple other items that I know parents are really kind of asking about, and I don't have a heck of a lot of answers. The little bit is coming out maybe about childcare. So we did get a message, and I think all the parents received a message today from Dr. Jordan. He is they're still committed to the before and after school care that's going to happen. That is fee-based. So those possibilities that we've always done before school and after school, but now we're looking into during the day childcare. So that is a possibility. Dr. Jordan, our superintendent, is working on that. We'll have a little bit more information as it comes out. And so there might be opportunities for students. There might be limited opportunities for students with a fee base to have a kind of a daycare. So stay tuned on that one. Any thoughts on that? Parents, students, no, all good? Okay. Last one that I have on my list is foods. Go ahead, John.
Michael, I'm sorry. Real quick, I'm sure some parents are going to be concerned with if they have to bring their kids to school for the, I guess we won't call it daycare because they're middle schoolers. Probably would use a different name.
Yeah, I imagine.
You know, but maybe parents are going to have some questions on what will be provided, as in, you know, just to keep them safe on campus. Any thoughts on that?
You know what? I don't have any thoughts on that one yet. We'll have to kind of come up with some of the parameters. I know that there's care centers out there for students at this time, so we'll probably mimic that and go through the public health kind of committee and get all those regulations that we need to have. So more details to follow.
Okay.
Yeah. The last thing is food services. So that is very, very important that the students are receiving their lunches, receiving breakfast. So all students get a breakfast, and they can get a lunch. Those who have free and reduced lunch, they can come and pick those up, or we can get it for a fee also. So that will be available. They're still talking about, will that be available at Royal Oak? So each school site, we don't have the answer yet, is that food will be available at Royal Oak, or will it be in a centralized location? So it could be at the high school, it could be at the district office, it could be at Royal Oak that services everybody in the district. So we have a great facility for that too. So we're open. We can host that. But stay tuned on the lunches. What I'd probably like to see is if they do come and get the lunch, that they also they might be able to get 2 lunches depending on the food services, but also get the breakfast so you don't have to come back twice. So pick up the lunch and then get the next day's breakfast at the same time. So that'll be available for the students. So then they can stay healthy, stay nourished, and continue to have those services for you. Yes, Ms. Vogel.
So as a parent who is now finding themselves in need of school lunch availability, who should we contact to work through that process? Because a lot of us may find ourselves there not having been there previously. So where can we go to get the help that we need?
Great question. So on our website and on the district website, there is the option for application, and that application is online. It's also in the data confirmation. When you go through the data confirmation system, there is a section in there where you can fill out that application. So definitely contact us. That is very, very, very important to contact us if you have any questions. If you can't find it, no problem. Email me, email Pearl. We'll take care of you, Mr. Sonar. So we definitely want to take care of all of our families in any kind of need. Like Ms. Vogel said, this is the time to do that. So we definitely want to support your families with everything that we can. So please contact us.
Dr. Williams?
Yes, Mr. Sonar.
Yeah, and we were really close with the cafeteria manager at Royal Oak. She's awesome. But once the application is filled out, it usually happens very quickly, and we can get clarity on that very quickly. And there's multiple links. Like once you do data confirmation, it's like the last page, and you can click on that link. I'm sure it's on the district website as well. We can help you through it here. And then once it goes through, it pretty quickly goes through. But any parent that reaches out, we could definitely help with that very quickly and work through it.
Yep, it's a great service, a great thing that the state and we all provide. Any other kind of finishing up thoughts? and I'll look at my notes as you guys kind of ask any questions or finish up your thoughts. Yes, Ms. Vogel, go ahead.
I have all the questions, so sorry.
No, you're doing great.
Well, I'm getting feedback as we're talking about, oh, ask this, ask this. So, we parents, we are concerned for our teachers. We want to make sure that they are getting as much support in this situation as they can. As a parent, I'm really disheartened when I hear people want to complain, because we all did our best, and we're still doing our best. So I just want to make sure that I don't know if our teachers have been in training over the summer, how they can effectively manage the classrooms. There were some concerns, at least with my child's classes, as far as, we had people being inappropriate, and, are the teachers being given resources on how to effectively conduct their class, restrict certain things, so that way the kids are getting the most out of that experience and not being disrupted, by kids being kids.
Awesome point. Teachers, any thoughts? How are you feeling going into this?
Overwhelmed might be the best word. There's more questions than we have answers for, and in the middle of the night or in the shower or in other places, you think of things of like, shoot, what am I going to do about this? Or how am I going to make this work? And again, Dr. Jordan's words of grace comes out. The nice thing about Zoom is when kids are inappropriate, during the summer, when I had kids that were not being appropriate, I put them in a breakout room by themselves, and then I could go in and talk to them, or I put them in the waiting room by themselves till I could go deal with them. It's a case-by-case, individual-by-individual learning curve. I am hopeful that our kids who had some experience with live classes during the spring have an idea of kind of what it looks like. And I know all of our students did not use every opportunity available to them to maximize the extent, but I think some of them maybe have learned some lessons about how they can better conduct themselves online. It's not a brand new thing for them now as well. My summer school kids, who have a reputation for are not most stellar students. That's what got them in their summer school place to begin with. Once there were some pretty good ground rules put in place, I had a couple issues, but none of them were ones that happened during our live sections. They were all when we were working on independent work, and it was plagiarism issues. So they learned to behave themselves better while on camera. And I learned some different things that worked and didn't work. And so it's going to be a grace thing, and teachers are going to figure out what's going to work for them in their classrooms. But I know for me, setting some pretty strict, straight to the forward, like, this is what you are expected to do, this is what will get a consequence, kind of helped, because it gave kids some parameters and things that, like, oh yeah, she already thought of that, or he already thought of that. So they already knew that was an off limits topic of, like, using an inappropriate name as their screen name.
Great points. Any other thoughts, teachers? How you feeling? Pretty overwhelmed. Obviously, this is something that we're really kind of pushing the envelope out there. One of the things that would provided a little bit of professional development in the spring for Google Classroom, that was specific for Google Classroom, but also coming up, teachers haven't really experienced this yet, but Camille Stracula, who is our digital learning coach for the district, she's putting together right now some learning opportunities for teachers on, like, Zoom meetings, breakout rooms, some of the other digital platforms that can be used, Remind, for teachers to kind of understand how to use them to the maximum. And so those opportunities will be provided to the teachers next week. They can click on them and do independent learning. So a lot of different, I think she's got about 8 different sessions that she's putting together with different teachers as experts too. And and then those will be available for the teachers to kind of get them a little bit more comfortable going into the school year. Also, as Dr. Jordan's kind of letters indicated, that we might be starting on Friday. So that would give the teachers, they come back on Monday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that they can do a lot of collaboration and talk to each other. What works best? What are we going to do as a team? And so they have a lot of good collaboration time to really maximize and get out the gate in a good start. So I feel the best that I could feel at this point with a little bit of the professional development that is going on, so that it can be a great experience for our staff, for our students, for our parents, until we come back to school.
Dr. Williams?
Yeah.
Can I possibly request that our instructional assistants be given access to all of that digital training, as we're really going to need them to back us on those Zoom meetings and postings in Google Classroom?
I did ask that when that came out, and so I classified. I didn't say that, but that is on the top of my brain, because we really want them to be a part of that. Absolutely.
We will need them. We will need them.
I think their first day is on Wednesday, correct? First day of school?
I believe so.
Okay. So they'll come back on Wednesday, Thursday, then have a couple days, and then we have start on the Friday. Probably the Friday, again, we don't have the schedule yet, but probably the Friday we'll see all the classes. They'll probably be the shortened periods, about 30 minutes, just at least get a check-in. Any other wrap-up thoughts? John?
Okay, well, I was having a conversation with Mr. Sonar a few weeks back, and we were talking about all of everything that's going on, how school is going to start. And he had an interesting point that I just didn't think about. But our teachers are trained to teach our students in person. So I guess, we should acknowledge that this is very difficult for not only our students, for our teachers, because they're trained to teach our students in person. And so, I just want to say, I guess, thank you to teachers, but this is your profession. But still, I understand the fact that this is difficult for you as much as it is for the parents. So hopefully, more parents can be, or hopefully everyone in general can be more understanding of the difficult situation that we are all in together. And, working with one another, hopefully we can make it the best experience and the best learning that we can have for our children. And I just we have to work together in this situation, because unfortunately we're in this situation. So thank you to the teachers for stepping out of your comfort zone. I know a lot of this, for some teachers, it's out of your comfort zone, but again, it's going to be the same for many parents. Many parents, this will be out of their comfort zone. The students, like my son Michael, he's very tech savvy. There's a lot of kids that are and kids that aren't, and parents that are and aren't. So it's going to be a difficult time. So we have to reach out to one another and be as supportive as possible. So that's the only thing I can say.
Bravo. Well said, John. Students, let's kind of get a little bit of your summary, your thoughts on everything that you heard so far.
Well,
I think it's pretty good. Just like given the circumstances. So thank you.
Good.
yeah, I'm now knowing that what's going to be happening and the procedures that are going to be happening, I can't wait.
We're going to make it the best. Well, again, thank you so much, teachers, panels, parents. Awesome. Thank you so much for all of your dedication, huge dedication at home, that you can keep the expectations high and keep the learning kind of growing and moving forward. Students, thank you for your patience, and we're trying to make it the best for you guys so that you guys can keep going forward with your learning. Got to get you ready for high school and the next level each year. So again, Coffee with the Principal, we appreciate that. It was fantastic to talk to you guys. Hopefully you learned quite a bit from this. If you have any questions from the dialogue that we didn't quite answer, please don't hesitate to email any of us on the panel, and we'll get right back to you on any of those answers. And stay tuned. We're going to have some more information as it comes out. We get a little closer to school opening. So again, thank you, team, and all go Roms.